Hello and welcome to Movies We Dig, the podcast about film, antiquity, and everything in between. I'm Elijah Fleming.
And I'm Christy Vogler.
And once again, Colin has left us.
Yes.
Colin is once again in Greece, I believe.
The lucky bastard.
Means, though, it's another girls' night, which is one of our favorites.
Mm-hmm.
And this evening is an extra special guest because we are joined by Jenny Williamson. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I was reading too quickly and my brain didn't catch up with me.
That's okay.
Extra special guest, we are joined by Jenny Williamson to discuss her debut novel, Enemy of My Dreams.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so fun.
You all might know Jenny as co-creator of the popular Ancient History Fangirl podcast, and I know that's where we know her from, but she's also a romance and fantasy novelist, and this is, Jenny, you're our first official book that we've ever covered on the Movies We Dig podcast, so
we're honored.
Yeah, we're very excited. We don't have time to read, apparently. We're too busy watching long series of Roman history to pick up a damn book.
I know.
Well, I'm so glad you made an exception.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we were excited to make an exception for this one.
I'm so
100%.
glad. Again, I am honored. I am just delighted to be here. We've had so much fun chatting before about various and sundry other things, and I know this is just going to be the best time.
Yeah. If
really
our listeners remember, the first time we met and spoke with both you and Jen is about Spartacus. It was another girls' night, and
it was
like almost a year ago, and we were like, girls' night, sexy gladiator men, let's do it.
Was it that long ago? Almost a year? Gosh,
it was. Well,
that's what I was thinking. Oh my gosh,
it's well over a year ago now.
Wow, time flies.
Wow.
But it's a fun episode, y'all, so you should go listen to it if you haven't already. So yeah, Jenny, again, thank you so much for joining us this evening to talk about your book. It's kind of weird because we're like, do you dig it? I hope you dig your own book. And like Elijah and I will definitely give our general takes here in a moment. But I thought maybe more broadly what we could open with, what we could all share with is what is everyone's background with historical fiction and romance novels? Because I feel like we're all connoisseurs of it to a certain extent. So Jenny, can you share that history with us?
Yeah. So I've been reading romance novels probably since, way earlier than I should have been. My mom was the town librarian. I grew up in this small town in Vermont. And I read all the books in the library, but the romance novels, once I discovered those, I kind of was like, my mom cannot know that I am reading this. No. So I was like 14 and like sneaking stuff out of the library and, not checking it out, flipping it in my backpack and like trying to surreptitiously return it so nobody noticed. And my mom totally knew too. And I think she was just like, well, she's reading, like,
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
And like these are like the real 90s bodice rippers too, like the big sweeping historical epics that were questionable in a lot of ways.
with Fabio on the cover.
Some of them did have Fabio on the cover, but I do feel like Fabio, like it was just like those, really vintagey clinch covers where they're like pulling each other's shirts down and so obviously I could not let my mom see that I was reading that. Good Lord.
No.
So so I've been reading romance novels and just completely fell in love with romance since a young age, shall we say. And a lot of the romance novels back then were, again, these big sweeping historical epics. So like that's what I was reading is like historical epics where it's like medieval or it's, like the 1800s or, like they went to all kinds of different places. Some of them were Regency, but the stuff I was reading was a lot more like in different places than that, And I fell in love with the history of it and just how big these stories were and also how dramatic the storylines were. Like, I think those old 90s romances have like a reputation for being batshit. Like, just stuff happens where it's like, oh, now she's been kidnapped by Russians. Like, what will happen?
I've read the occasional man spy thriller. Come on.
Yeah.
We're not that ridiculous on our side of things.
Goodness, no. Never. But yeah, so that's kind of what I fell in love with. I was also just into history of the not smutty variety. Like there were my mom had all these great history books. Like I could read about Stonehenge. I could read about the Aztecs. I could read about the pyramids, like all the, the big flashy historical topics. And I really fell in love with it. So I read so much as a kid. And I think that's just what my inception story is just reading a lot of things.
Yeah.
And when I started, I had been trying to write, I knew that like my whole life, like from college on, I knew that my great burning ambition in life was to write smut. Like that's what I wanted to do.
Yes.
Such a calling. I love it.
It is. It was my calling. I felt that, I was just like, I just want to write smut. I got a, creative writing degree. There was no smut at college.
Shame.
Sadly.
I know, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was very
What are they teaching the kids these days? Come on.
I know, right? Hopefully you make a living with your craft, but no.
Right.
Dude, that was our whole conversation when we talked about The Lost City with Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum. It's like, that girl's making a killing off
The Lost
being
City
an
of D?
archaeologist.
Yes, The Lost City.
Lost City of D. She'd make him bank.
Jen and I did a Patreon about the Lost City of D.
So good.
No. I love
My favorite. I was like, why is she so down on this purple jumpsuit? I would wear the purple jumpsuit. I would be a snob about the purple jumpsuit.
To be fair,
Jumpsuit.
I put it in a romper, and when you have to go to the bathroom in a public space, it's not great.
We shouldn't be going to a bathroom in a public space anyway. But
why would you just wear a romper at home? Come on. Going out to be cute.
Like it's called a romper so you can romp in it.
Yeah, I know.
I have
That's
to
fair.
agree. I have to
Publicly. Romping is a public activity. It can also be a private activity. But it seems kind of extroverted to me.
It does.
It does, for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Laj, hit us with your history of historical fiction, romance, and smut.
Oh, it's so much. There's so much here. I think I also, from a very young age, was really interested in history. And I remember reading, I was going to look it up and now I forget what they were called, but they were like those like diaries of
Dear America.
Yes, Dear America.
Yep.
Thank you.
I know exactly
You
where
knew
you're going with that.
I'm talking about. I had all of those. I was absolutely obsessed. I loved all of the different variations. And then they had like there's like the royal ones where it was like Cleopatra and Mary Antoinette and like all of these different like more famous fictional characters, but also just like the everyday.
That's how I learned about the Tudors, man.
Yeah.
That was my beginning.
Same. So I was so obsessed with those when I was younger. And I think it really grew from there into, there are books that kind of keep going, that like grow with me, that are kind of branching out into maybe other types of books in the same way. And I think I was a little slower to get into the smutty side of things. But once I did late high school-y, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Because it felt like such a very like safe place to explore so much of your sexuality as a young person and seeing a lot of different things that you don't see or hear about in movies that aren't like super R-rated or something. And so it was really awesome and super fun. And then once I got a Kindle, I could read whatever the fuck I wanted. And nobody could see the cover.
That is nice, isn't it?
Yep. Because I would also read constantly. I was one of those kids that like always had a book when I was walking around somewhere. And so I got to a point where I was like kind of embarrassed about what book I was carrying with me, which is a whole nother thing that we maybe don't have to talk about. But having just the ability to have like 1,000 books with me that I can choose to read whatever I want, and like nobody really has to be looking at exactly what I'm reading, was really spectacular.
Yeah.
So I love that.
After I got, wasn't, a kid anymore and wasn't worried about what my mom thought, I had like absolutely zero shame about the smut and reading the smut. Like I just didn't feel that, Yeah.
It took me some time to get over. I think I was like a very anxious little baby person.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe that's also something that keeps some people from enjoying it, right? Is like some sort of secondhand embarrassment or shame or something like that. And I'm like
part of the purity culture that exists here. Like I remember it's like I was like high school, early college, and it's like, when do I get to talk about sex openly with my friends like those women do on that show? Because like I'm not there yet. I'm in like late teens, early 20s, and I'm like, it still feels really hush hush in a lot of ways. And so, you know, a lot of women don't get to outgrow that feeling, unfortunately. Yeah. Elijah, I'm very similar. The Dear America books and the Cleopatra, Elizabeth I, Isabel, like had all of those.
I started to see the covers in my brain.
Oh yeah, with the gold leaf or the gold sides. Yeah.
Can I ask what these books were? Because I didn't have these.
Okay. Oh yeah. Here, okay. Let me see if I can find.
Yeah, you should send an image or something in the chat. But like Dear America, like I remember my first like kidnap romance coming from one of those strangely of like it was the blonde girl who got kidnapped by local Native American tribes, I think.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
That sounds very 90s. Like
it was problematic, and it was heartbreaking because she had to she started falling in love with both a boy as well as like the culture that she had been kidnapped to, because I think they'd kidnapped her to replace a child that had been lost during colonization, and then eventually she's forced to return back to her family. And I don't think she gets to find out like what happened to like the boy like she had fallen in love with and everything. And so like heart-wrenching stuff I was reading at 10 years old.
I know. I'm trying to find like a picture of one of my favorite
I can see
ones.
it so clearly in my head. Yeah. I could see them on the Scholastic book paper orders.
Yep.
Right, American Girl was probably my first one though, like the American Girl dolls and everything.
Oh, we had American Girl dolls. Like I didn't have the dolls, but I really enjoyed the catalog.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was the best.
The catalog was fun. Like
it was so fun.
I wasn't into the dolls as much as I was into the catalogs, and then there were books of the American Girl dolls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I pretty much had all of those.
All of it.
And I was kind of like, I think I would have loved if my mom was a librarian, but she did the next best thing. She basically let me build my own personal library. Like I was a voracious reader, and like it kind of sucks because my little brother was obviously into video games. And at the time, books were both seen as more intellectual and cheaper. So like I'd get like 3 books and my brother would be lucky if he got a video game on any particular shopping outing.
You know, I don't have video games or a gaming console. And the reason that I don't is because I would get addicted to it and then I would get nothing done. And the reason for that is because video games are so narrative now. Like they're so narrative and immersive, like that they're like actually like quite like probably as intellectual as books, you know, like
for sure.
So
I literally just started one a few nights ago and I was up till 3 a.m.
Right. See, that's what happened. I would do nothing but that.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love video games too. It was just at the time, you know, late 90s, early 2000s, that was kind of the perception.
Yeah.
So and it's really funny because my mom like now takes care of my nieces. And my books, my personal library from my childhood is in that house. But, you know, I was in that house up until my 18 and stuff. And I definitely also found the historical novels with the naughty themes in it.
Yeah.
And so when I last visited, it's like, okay, Mom, these shelves, they don't get to see it until they've hit puberty. Or at least that's my recommendation. You know what? Whatever you want. But frankly, like just keep these top shelf and keep the rest of it bottom shelf. And that should work fine. And yeah, I think what's similar to what Lige was voicing is just so much of, I was really reflecting. It's like not even just like sexuality, but also just like reproductive health in general. Like, I knew what a stillbirth and a miscarriage was. And I reflect back now, like health class never taught, like they always explain it's like you have sex, you get pregnant, or what's the Mean Girls is like, and you get gonorrhea and you die. Like there was no conversation. I was like, actually not all pregnancies automatically end up in a child. And I know of like many women traumatized in their, you know, late 20s, early 30s who have one or more miscarriages because they just weren't aware of like how common that was. And like we are such a disservice to women in the way we teach about sexuality and reproductive health that, man, those books were a godsend in some ways. Like I was, had a little bit more information than I was definitely getting in my podunk Central Washington town.
Yeah.
So yeah, I loved those books. I loved that they were part of my upbringing in a lot of ways. And I was so glad that was the genre that you wrote this one in.
I do feel like that's a really good point too. There are pros and cons. There's a lot of think pieces out there, and people have different opinions on whether it is appropriate to use romance novels as some kind of teaching tool, because some things are idealized, like the sex is idealized, you could say, sometimes, depending on what you're reading. But I also feel like it is a good place to learn that your partner is supposed to care about if you get off.
Yeah.
Like he's supposed to go down on you, or she, your partner is supposed to care about if you are feeling pleasure,
Yeah.
And that's like a huge message that you get in romance novels, is that if he's the one, he's gonna care if you have an orgasm.
Yes.
Yeah, like
baseline.
The way to impress you is by sexually pleasing
Correct.
you, not just sleeping around with a bunch of people. Like that's
the
not
only thing you should care about, but that is a baseline requirement.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I guess this is the moment, like, Lige and I will cut in real quick, and I think I've mentioned before, but Lige, do you dig Jenny's book? And
I dig it so much. We were at Camless, we were at the conference. Christy handed it to me and said, "Here, I think you probably want to read it first." And I proceeded to read it in 24 hours. Like, I just kind of sat and read it. And I feel like I'm like you guys think of like video games, like sort of bingey and kind of can't stop. I am like that with books. If I open it and I'm into it, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not doing anything else other than reading this book right now.
Yeah.
I read 310 pages of it yesterday. Not like partly because I procrastinated like I do, but also it was very easy to pull off.
That's great to hear.
It's so much fun. It was so much fun to read through it. And I remember at like every kind of like, narrative point where I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen next. I am so excited. Or I did not see that coming. I am so excited. And so I had such a good time reading it. I really loved the main characters. And I think I know we're going to talk so much more about this, but I really loved like the culture clash of just like so much of this misunderstandings. And I know we'll have to bleep this, but just for like my favorite line is still like, it's still like my favorite thing.
You have to bleep that. I can bleep
that.
I'm sorry. I know that needs to be bleeped, but it's one of my favorite.
It was really good.
But also,
Jenny, I just needed you to know.
That is my favorite. It just, every time I read a book with that in it, it absolutely kills me and then I'm dead. I love it. I'm such a sucker for that, which means I love miscommunication.
I thought it worked so well with this culture clash with these two specifically, and the ways that they sort of dealt with their trust issues and sort of misunderstandings of each other's culture throughout the whole story, really. And I super enjoyed it.
So
super fun.
That makes it believable, right? Like I've seen plenty. I also read isekai web comics, romance ones, and like the miscommunication is just because the people are stupid, and you're like, please just talk to each other, as opposed to like there are different language. Yeah, there's different languages being spoken. There's different cultural approaches to romance and marriage and things like that. And if like you don't have that knowledge, then of course miscommunication happens. So like it works really well here. So yeah, for sure.
I'm so glad that you think that. I think that like the type of hero and heroine I really find entertaining and enjoy writing. And I've sat down to, kind of game out some next projects. And I'm realizing like, oh no, this is really a thing with me. It wasn't just this book. This is really a thing. Is when they're both very messy. Like in different ways. But like, it's just these two people colliding and exploding in this big, kind of bomb. Like it is messy. It's going to get messier. Like, that's my favorite. Yeah. They both make very bad choices. Like, I like that.
Very bad choices. But also, like, realistic ones, right?
Realistic.
Like, they have very clear motivations, and they have strong feelings about making those choices, even if you're like screaming at them to like, what the are you doing? Please stop.
I think I made a note somewhere. It's like, if only couples therapy existed, they would be doing great.
I think you texted me that at one point.
Yeah. I love the idea of these two in couples therapy. That actually kills me.
Right.
That actually physically kills me.
But Alaric would show up to that.
He
would show up.
He would attack that therapy like he's besieging a city.
Yep.
He's like, we're gonna
would win therapy.
No, understand you better. And she'll be like, "Can I have a drink?"
Yes. Can we bring wine to therapy?
Right. Can I just need to be slightly tipsy.
Or like, what's in your diffuser? Can we just a little,
honey spicy herbs in there? Yeah. Can this be weed sauna therapy?
It's therapeutic, obviously.
Yeah, actually, that's great. Like, is Riga the therapist? He should not be.
Yes. No. But I love that for him.
I think he would want to. I think he'd be like, I can do this.
He would absolutely want to, if only for the gossip.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. He would know so much.
He'd be like, this is great. I'm going to have blackmail on both of you.
Forever.
Exactly. Yeah. I will say that, like, I really dig it too, because Julia is so naive but aware, like what I like, because she is new to a relationship in a lot of ways. That's not all about manipulation, which you set that up really well. And so she's kind of aware, but she just also doesn't know what to do with it because she's kind of a newbie in all of this. And I liked that. I liked that she wasn't naively stupid about things. Like, she recognizes when there's problems and she does her best to fix it, even if sometimes it's like, I can't handle this right now. Let's drink some wine or some mare's milk.
Like, I'm going to take a 3-day nap and get back to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I liked that. I liked that, you can be learning and not be stupid. Like, I think that's a trope I hate, is just like constantly being stupid about things and not learning from it. And she does. And I really like that about her.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I think that Julia is a little bit, this is something that I also super enjoy, is like the sort of he falls first trope where she is like kind of stymied by Alaric's earnestness. Like underneath all his, whatever, he like fearsome warlord, whatever, but he's a very earnest person. Like, he says what he means and he keeps his promises, And I think Julia's like, I can't tell if you're the most earnest person I've ever met or the most manipulative person I've ever met. It's kind of f***ing with my head, you know?
Yeah. And I saw that so much as like her coming from the Roman perspective, right? Of like expecting everybody to be so manipulative and expecting to have to like, I don't know, fight in all of these like mental gymnastics with him and being like, what do you mean? What do you mean you just said what you
mean? You mean that? Like, you seriously?
And what's funny is they're both also utilitarian at the same time. Like, that seemed something that was like, I could see in both of them. Like, they recognize that certain decisions have a rational purpose that doesn't necessarily have to do with actual affection for each other. You can still be mad about that, but it's something they both know and understand as like aspiring leaders. I think that's what I like too, is like they recognize that sometimes decisions are for utilitarian purposes. It's not all about love. Yeah. I think that's the other reason I really liked this romance, because it's like the love isn't all consuming. Maybe sometimes it is, but not always.
Well, it's like there's also like love for their communities and like love for the people in their like found families and like love for, other parts of their lives that also now include each other. And again, I think that's one of my favorite things in a very fun romance, is like the outside cast of characters that get to come in and be a part of that space and be a part of that community. And I've loved all of the extra cast has been so much fun.
I'm so glad. Yeah, they're fun for me too. And like, I think it took me a while to figure out that I was writing a found family story, And like especially for Julia, like running away from what she's running away from, you know, is like she's finding this found family, and like she befriends his friends before she befriends him.
Yes.
And that's like that was really fun for me to write. And I have lots of ideas for spin-offs, but you know, nothing has been set in stone yet.
Okay. We are excited for that possibility.
Yes.
Well, I feel like maybe we've gotten a little ahead of ourselves, but that's just how we are, and it's fine. Can you, Jenny, actually provide us some historical context of like who is Alaric and Julia, and like what do we know from them from the sources? Because I also understand that like your research for your novel is in part what helped inspire the work for the podcast, which is really cool. You got 2 amazing projects out of it, basically.
Yeah, I did. The podcast, I started after I started the novel because I just needed a place to put all this research I was doing, and I had not done research to that extent, you know? So Alaric is a real person. Julia isn't. And Alaric sacked Rome in 410 AD. He was a Visigoth. He was coming from this, you know, long tradition of Germanic peoples who had all these various clashes and wars with the Roman Empire. And also a lot of Germanic peoples had been inside the Roman Empire as like, you know, traders and enslaved people. And like, I think one of the emperors was potentially Gothic ? It was the question if that's real. But like there's a tradition of this culture being kind of like encountering Rome a lot. One of the things about that is that the Goths, not in my book, but in the real history, were Arian Christian, which is a sect of Christianity, like a very early sect of Christianity, kind of in competition with Catholicism that wound up dying out only in the 700s when the Visigothic kingdom ended.
Okay.
So he's like the very beginning of that. He kind of came up in the aftermath of this thing called I think it's like he's in the migration era, which is an era of a lot of different cultures and groups moving around on the borders of the Roman Empire, clashing with the Roman Empire, and like a lot of these sort of refugee crises that happened. We have a whole series going on my podcast about this. It's called How Empires End. And it goes from like the very beginning of Gothic history, even pre-Roman, as much as we know about that, to the very end of the Visigothic and Ostrogothic kingdoms. So it's like this vast sweeping history. And Alaric, weirdly, there were like 7 or 8, something like that, Gothic wars that happened as the migration era churned on. And Alaric's sack of Rome doesn't even make the list. Like it's like a small skirmish comparatively, but it's also very impactful. You know, like it's one of the events that happened that historians will point to and say that right there is where the Roman Empire died. I've come to believe that the Roman Empire didn't die and that we're still living in it now.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it's pretty grim. But
I also, having taught Roman history for a class, I was like, I don't think Rome ever had its shit together. It was just chugging along and got bigger and bigger and didn't know what to do with itself every time it expanded.
Yeah.
Like just pours more wine, thinking about
that's real.
It's like a shark. It just has to keep swimming or it will die. We think of the death of the empire and we pour more alcohol, as the ancients did. Exactly. As Julia did.
Oh, yeah.
You get a little note from Julia.
So the very first episode that I wrote for Ancient History Fangirl was called Stuff Alaric Said. And it's all about the quotable quotes and ancient sources of things that Alaric of the Visigoths supposedly said. And I tried to sprinkle them into my book as much as I could.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I love him so much. And so he was real. Julia is not real. She's somebody I made up. And this is like definitely something, you know, in the grand tradition of all the historical romances I read as a kid, I really did want to read write a historical romance that had that sort of great sweeping vistas and a lot of batshit things happening, you know, and like big cast, like a big story. But I wanted like, you know, the sex to be consensual. Like,
yes.
Congratulations. You definitely did that. You took us on an adventure.
Yeah, that was the goal. I think somebody wrote that in a review. They're like, this feels like a 90s historical romance, but the sex is all consensual. I'm like, that's exactly what I was trying to do. Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, I did the thing. Yeah, so Julia is basically based on she's my invention. She's based on 3 different women from historical, the historical record. One of them is Julia Augusta, the daughter of Augustus. So like way back at the beginning of the Roman Empire, she was banished to Pandateria for being, as the ancients say, too slutty.
Yeah. After already having given birth to children and her husband dying. Like,
yes. She had a lot.
She'd been through so much.
She had done her duty. She was allowed to party at that point.
She was apparently then, like, supposedly having sex on altars or something. Like, it was a hatchet job, like, obviously. But who knows? Or maybe she was really doing that and just absolutely refused to get in line with her dad's, like, laws for women.
Yep.
Where he was trying to be an autocrat, and the first thing you do is get the women in line. I don't know. Where does
get them in line?
Where have we seen this?
Incentivize them having babies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
For the state,
I just want to like throw my computer. I'm just so mad. Okay.
Yeah. So Julia Augusta has a lot to teach us about what is going on right now.
Definitely.
So she's one character that I based her on. Another one is Galla Placidia, who was actually, if I was going to write this as a real historical romance based on real people, she would be the person. But then she wouldn't fall in love with Alaric. She would fall in love with Ataulf, his, right-hand man. So this is a kidnapping story where Alaric sacks Rome, and Galla Placidia is the daughter of the emperor, and she's captured and winds up, depending on the sources, this is interpreted this way in some sources and not in others, either falling in love with this guy Ataulf, who is the supposedly brother-in-law and right-hand man of Alaric.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're brother-in-laws. I don't know who's married to who, but apparently Ataulf was single at the time of the sacking.
Convenient. Yep.
Yes.
Great.
Right. Anyway, so they get married. There's this whole, like, they go and live in Toulouse in France, and actually, I think this was like a little bit before the Toulouse situation, but they're up in Gaul. They get married in this fabulous mansion-like villa of like one of Ataulf's friends, or maybe one of Galla Placidia's friends, one of their mutual friends. They get married at his house. They have a whole ginormous wedding ceremony with dozens of youths carrying in giant platters of gold and jewels that are part of, Alaric's booty that he has sacked from various places, including Rome. And this becomes the treasure of the Visigoths that continues with them up until the 700s. It's a legendary treasure.
Nice.
That's part of something I'm doing for the podcast. Like, I'm going to trace the history of this Visigothic treasure.
Cool.
It's awesome.
Love that.
But anyway, like, it begins as Galla Placidia's dowry. And then Ataulf gets assassinated. Spoilers, like a couple years later, she goes back to Rome. She marries this guy she hates. He dies. She becomes empress by herself, and she rules with an iron fist.
Yes.
For decades or a decade or something. She's, one of the empresses, like one of the rare Roman empresses who like rules on her own, and she does a really good job. So like, I kind of believe that my Julia has that in her.
Yeah.
Like, she's 100%. Kind of a mess now, but that's in her. And I want her to grow into that as the series continues, because there's a book too.
Yeah. Which we are very excited for. I like, because I think you established this at the very beginning of your book, is that Julia has always been an intelligent person. But she got to a point within her childhood that like, that just wasn't going to be appreciated in her environment. And so she adapted, and she adopted things that, men might find frivolous, but she still finds great use for. And I really liked that. But at the same time, like, those things that she had prided herself on that men or masculinity would pride itself on, she has to put it aside for a while. And then you have to grow back into it when you have to put it aside. So again, another element I really liked about her going through what feels like a learning process in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm so glad that worked, because like, that's part of the challenge of writing, is showing your characters grow and like making it feel organic, The other character that I based her on, because there are 3, is Honoria, who is the daughter of Galla Placidia. And what's interesting about Honoria and Julia, I feel like they have this in common, is that both of them kind of expect things from their world that women usually don't get, right? Like, Julia kind of expects or wants to be in some kind of ruling position of power. And she also absolutely flat out refuses to marry this guy that she's commanded to marry. Like, you do not see that happening in a lot of places and, you know, with women in power, like they marry who they're told to marry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Honoria, Galla Placidia's kid, was engaged to somebody. She did not like this person. So she sent a note to Attila the Hun saying, come and rescue me from this odious marriage. And Attila the Hun was like, right, everybody saddle up. We're going to go invade Rome because if I marry her, that means that I am owed half the kingdom as my dowry. I'm not sure how he figured this because this is not like legally how it would work, but that's what he decided. And this is an event through which, like, you know, kingdoms rise, saints are made, thousands upon thousands of people died because there was a lot of war. Venice was founded in this. Like, this is like a big churn of things that happened that was, like, you know, quite large in scale. And it was all because Honoria sent this note to Attila the Hun to come get me. She just refused. She refused to play by the rules that women played by. Women always played by, you know? And I find that fascinating about her. She and Attila the Hun unfortunately never met. They did not have an epic romance, sadly.
Sad.
Yeah, I think she was kind of married to a guy and then probably sent into exile and probably had a really sad and short life, from what I can understand. I don't think it ended well for her, but I really just find her fascinating as a person, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
So those are my three.
That's perfect. Well,
yeah,
that kind of brings me to my next question, because I know I definitely love the historical elements. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
But also, we met you talking about Spartacus.
That's true.
So I need to ask, what media helped you write this book? And if you don't say Spartacus, I will not believe you.
Oh, no, Spartacus absolutely played a role. I think that, like, okay, so Gannicus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our favorite.
McGee. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Like, sort of, you know, joy and bloodlust comes from, there's a little Gannicus in him. I think the hair color is similar. They're both hot. Like, similar. I think Andy, our guy, like the original Spartacus, there's a little of his intensity in Alaric. And I think I watched it a lot for, like, you know, battlefield verisimilitude. Like, I'm always talking about that. I've said this on multiple podcasts, but, like, it really gives you a sense of, like, how people fought and, like, what swords they use and what various, you know, barbarian cultures used what. Like, there's this whole thing where I remember Gannicus trying to teach, what's his name, the other guy with the short haircut. You know, I will forget just things I should know because I'm 44 now, so I just forget.
But all you need to know is Gannicus and Lucretia, so, like,
what
more needs to be known.
Very, very true. So anyway, he's talking to Crixus.
Oh, yeah.
Remember freaking Crixus. He's talking to Crixus about, like, you know, like the Averni use this kind of spear. And I'm like, yes, see, this is the information I need. Like, and like the fighting styles and things like that. So I did watch it a lot for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And also just like the scheminess, you know?
Yes.
There's a lot of scheminess in that.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't like no Lucy
intrigue.
Lawless and Julia. Like, there's some of that in there.
And it's like Lucretia made an appearance and I like totally missed the name at the beginning. Yes. And then she comes back. I won't say in any regard what beyond that. And I'm just like, hey, I know that name.
So there is HBO's Rome. Have you guys seen that?
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right. So Atia of the Julii.
Yeah.
Atia of the Julii is kind of exactly how I pictured Julia if she didn't ever wind up meeting Alaric and wound up staying in Rome until she was in her 40s. Like, that's her.
I feel
right?
it. I feel that so hard. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She was a big inspiration for me.
I could definitely see that.
The scheming and like the kind of pulling strings and but also like the heart. I feel like Adia gets like, you know, she becomes such a character that you root for. Not even becomes. I was rooting for her from the beginning, but like she has so much heart and you really like see there's such a genuine side to her. And so I totally feel that from Julia.
There's also kind of the bad guy though.
Oh yeah.
You know? That's the fun part. If you live long enough, you are the villain. Like, that's how it goes.
To be the bad guy.
Yes.
Definitely.
And that's the same with Lucretia and Spartacus. Like,
oh yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah. And I was going to say, I'm glad you pointed out that like Julia Augustus was one of the inspirations, because I don't know if you've seen Domina.
I have, yeah.
Okay. Julia in that definitely has elements that really reminded me of your Julia as well.
Oh, yeah. So. Yeah. And that's like really fun for me, is like writing morally neutral characters, or like maybe two villains just fall in love. Like maybe that's what I'm doing. Or like, you know, it's not that simple, right? Because everybody thinks that they're justified in what they do.
Yeah.
100%.
You know, no matter where they fall, like where people judge that they fall on the moral, you know, ethical spectrum. And also like in ancient Rome and in these situations, like the standard of ethics was just so wildly different than what we have today. It's like, and I think that's what I enjoy about writing in this time period, is trying to get into these people's heads and figure out, why did they decide to do what they're doing? Like, what is it when you just have to survive? How do you behave in this paradigm, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Is there any other media we're missing? Because like we all love Roman TV shows, apparently.
Let me think. It's hard to say, because like I've watched so many things over the years. Like I've been doing this for 8 years. I kind of like Charles Vane from Black Sails.
Okay. Yes.
Got the same blue eyes as Alaric.
Yep.
I read a lot of fan fiction for a while. I got super into that. Just like little pieces of things here and there, you know, but like it's really just mine when you get right down to it.
Well, and like the thing that resonated with me from Spartacus was like the encampment of refugees and the interactions in that. I'm like, I was seeing so much of it in your writing, which I loved. Like that was one of my favorite parts about the series too, of just like, Rome and Romans is not a cohesive unit of people that we tend to think about. It is multicultural, multifaceted, and you have slavery as a huge element of this that like gets talked about. And I really appreciate that, because again, when we see Rome, like Claudius level Rome, it's just the Augustus, family up to their own little shenanigans, their own dramas that everyone has written about and maybe overblown to some extent with Caligula and other characters, Nero. But like other people, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of drama to be had all around.
So much drama.
Unpack that. Yeah.
I really enjoy, like, I think Rome does this really well, you know, where they look at like not just the, you know, high level, like Julius Caesar level people. Like it's just like middle class Romans, like, you know, lower class Romans, like we're not talking enslaved people. We're just talking about people just, you know, who are trying to get by and who, you know, are not enslaved, but who are like, they own a shop, or like their husband's a legionary, but they haven't seen the money in 3 years and maybe he's dead. Like, I don't know. Like just these sort of very human situations that must have happened all the time. It must have been just like a normal part of life that feels so far and so foreign to us now, but also there's so much in it we can recognize, you know?
100%. Yeah.
Like, I really enjoy that.
Yeah. I think that's like, I know you say you liked the 90s element of like just batshit crazy, everything kind of going all over the place. But I also, you know, precarity, especially in a time of collapse or something like that, your fortune can change so easily in one regard or the other. So it's like these changes in settings and position is not necessarily hard to imagine for a time like for a period of time like that versus like a much more stable period. Absolutely. So again, I think you like adapted that motif in a really smart way with this setting.
Thank
really
you.
Cool.
Yeah. There's so many examples of that in history, you know, like just the fact that this is wild to me. This is like an early, I think it's the very first episode we published, not the first one I wrote, but the first one I published for the podcast. Jen and I did. It was called, I think it's called How to Survive a Sacking or How to Survive a Siege. And that I think just broke my brain a little bit when I was just researching things that you could just be going about your life and some army will decide to sack your city and that could ruin your life. You could obviously be killed. You could be taken into slavery. Like you never see your family again. Like you spent decades building up this shop and it's gone. Like, like anything you had could like turn on a dime. And like, that's not the only, it's not the only example of that. But like, I just remember researching that and like how that played out for people and like how common this experience must have been.
Yes.
Yeah. And just think like, it's just wild.
Yeah.
I like that you had brought out in like just one background character's story of like mentioning how when their city was sacked, they got on the women did this. They got on their roofs, got their hands on anything heavy and threw it down at the attackers because you're not going to just
sit there.
You're not going to just sit there and let it happen to you.
You have to fight. Like that's the only option, and there's all these examples of that in history. Like for example, Pyrrhus of Epirus, he's, the Pyrrhic victory. He of the Pyrrhic victory. There's this great story. I think it's in Plutarch. He wrote Life of Pyrrhus. And he just has this lavish descriptions of all these, sieges of ancient cities that Pyrrhus of Epirus was in. He was a noted elephant adventurer. He fought with war elephants. This is
nice.
Great. Like this is a man's life. This actually did this stuff. It's crazy. But he was killed because he was in a city. I think he was like, his son went in, when he shouldn't have, and he's trying to get to his son, or there's something with the son, but he's in this like kind of doing like urban warfare, like very crowded, hand to hand, like everybody's kind of packed in. There's a rampaging elephant somewhere. And like, he dies because he's fighting this guy who's actually like a kid, like who's like maybe 16. And like his mom throws a rock on him or a roof tile or something from the roof and it hits him in the neck and like injures him badly. And then he gets like dragged into a doorway and beheaded.
Yeah. No, there's so many creative ways that you can horrifically die in the ancient world. I think we like, sort of think of it as those big historical, like named figures, but it's like these horrific things happened to like everyday people. And I won't like talk about the context, but I really liked the mining camp or the slaves in the mine at some point in the story. Again, I will not talk about the context, but
it's a little bit late in the story, but that does happen. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that was such an interesting just like viewpoint into like a very different version of existence and a very like horrific version of existence in the ancient world that was really scary. And it was like any tiny little small thing and you're done. It's like you get like a cold and you die in the night. Like you trip and stub your toe and you get sepsis from like, a cut. It's like there's so many tiny little things that could destroy you.
Yeah.
And that the realism in that I think really did make that feel so much more dangerous and real.
I'm so glad. Like, I feel like, I feel like can feel myself trending into sort of anything can happen type books, where it's like, it does feel dangerous because that time was dangerous. And like, I want to treat it realistically in that sense. Like there's a lot that isn't realistic in my book. I invented Julia, the fact that it's a romance novel is a bit unrealistic, just baseline. I mean, but I wanted to work with these components because otherwise I could have said it, I don't know, in the modern time or whatever, if I didn't really want to contend with that stuff.
Yeah.
I'm jumping around in some of my questions here with this, but I do want to ask, this is a very, like, I totally understand why you chose romance, historical fiction, smut to tell the story because it's great and I love it. I sent Lige this video about book talk and like how women's literature, like chick lit and things like that is viewed, like it's never been viewed great. It's been viewed as lowbrow. And I was wondering, like, why did you feel like this was a good story to tell in this format? Well, what would you say to people who are critical of romance in historical fiction as a genre? Because I don't agree. I don't agree with the idea that because romance is added, that it somehow takes away from the historicity. And I know you did a ton of research into this. So
yeah, I mean, we would like to believe that love existed in ancient times, right? Like we would like to believe that there were some happy endings. So in that way, it is a fantasy in a sense, right? Of like, there's a happy ending in this time that's very grim, or at least that seems like that to us, right? Or there could be, you know, any idea of a happy ending doesn't really exist in real life, because obviously you just keep going, you know?
Right.
And then you're together for 10 years and you're eating ice cream on the couch and both wearing sweatpants or whatever. Like this, you know, this is a construct in a way. But I mean, the question is like, does romance, the presence of romance in general, in terms of genre, make it lowbrow? And I would strongly disagree with that, because it's like, writing romance is hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Writing good romance is very hard. It's hard. It's a skill. Like, you have to serve up the right emotions at the right time, and everything has to be earned. And there's this feeling of just chills that I get when somebody has built something up to a point, and like that moment where they come together is really earned. Like that is a little emotional machine that this author has constructed, and every little piece has to work exactly right to make that happen, you know? And that machine works in the framework of dark romance and contemporary romance and light romances. And like, if you have closed door romance versus open romance, like it almost doesn't matter. What matters is that sexual tension. And it's not just sexual, it's emotional tension. And that is a skill, and it is hard. It is not easy. It is a literary feat.
It is creating emotional 100%. Attachments between characters that like we feel, like we literally have to feel it with them to an extent. Like
in the best romances you do, like you feel it in your body. And I'm not talking about like just being physically like turned on or whatever, which also can happen. But like for me, that's not what I'm reading it for. Like I'm not just reading it for that. Like I'm reading it for that full body chill that I get when these two people who have just like can't figure it out finally do it, you know?
Well, there's that, but there's also like the love that, and it's not even necessarily called love, that you build between Julia and the other characters. Like, honestly, I enjoyed and felt so much satisfaction in like the building relationship between her and Thorismund and her and the twins. Like that to me was just as satisfying, because it's like building a relationship with someone that is respectful of each other as who they are as people, but also like joshing and like playing around. Like it's fun. And I don't know, it's like there's so much, like it's the same as when you make a new friend. You're like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I've connected emotionally with another person. This is great.
And like that sort of teamwork like makes you more than you are, you know, like so that you have people at your back. And like I think that found family stuff is, for me, that's where my fantasy comes in, because so much fantasy, the fantasy genre is like about a ragtag group of friends, like, you know, doing a thing. And it's all about that found family. It's all about somebody who, I don't know, they were a farm boy and then they met a wizard and then they met this warrior and then they became more than they are. And it's like your friends make you stronger, you know, like you become more than you are through these people who draw you out of yourself and like teach you things about yourself that you don't know. And then that's why I always loved fantasy as a kid. And I think that really, I didn't expect that. Like I didn't try to do that. Like I didn't necessarily set out to do that when I was writing this book, but it really came out. And I was like, oh, I see where I get that, you know? Like I think it's really into
so
Tolkien.
Oh, sure. Yes. I feel that.
Because like consent, like certain elements of our relationships that are modern today, you can't really translate into the past. But we have plenty of evidence of true affection that existed between partners, between parents and children, between friends. And like one of my favorite inscriptions because I looked at inscriptions of like Medica, is like written by the parents of a woman who also apparently hated her husband, because it's such a backhanded compliment to him, because they like, here's to our amazing daughter who was a doctor, and her husband who lost his doctor wife and source of income all in one go. And I'm like, ooh, sweet burn. And like, I think that's kind of why I like Julia's relationship with her father is complicated, because in some ways he was really supportive, but in other ways she had to play a specific role and he had to enforce that as the patriarch of the family. And like, you can tell that's a very complicated relationship for her as a result. And I think we forget that we have always, as human beings, had to live with each other.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I was going to say, Christy, I know you've talked about this a lot before, of just like kind of bringing some sort of livability to the ancient world and sort of seeing so much of our humanness in telling a narrative story, in being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes.
Yeah.
Even if it's in something that's, you know, maybe slightly fantastical, but is still with very real human emotion, and how that can bring so many people to the ancient world, to history in general, because we recognize those things, right? That we recognize those feelings, and that like we all have an annoying little sibling, or like we all feel responsible for taking care of parts of our family, and we all like having crazy awesome sex in a cave. Like, awesome.
Team sex always
under a waterfall. Like, come on.
Weirdly, yeah.
And in a big cozy bed with animal fur. Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
come on.
Yeah.
All the options.
All of these are things that we can all agree are awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh shoot, I lost the thought for a minute. Hopefully it'll come back to me. And like livability. Drink of wine. Give me a moment.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like really an act of empathy, you know? Like, I think that imagination and empathy have to go hand in hand, because
100%.
like writing this book and writing other books after this, like just, you know, trying to get things going. Like, I've got a book 2 of this. I've got other ideas kind of on the back burner. And like, it's all about, no matter who your character is, like I can't say too much about book 2, but like there's definitely a character who turns out to be like the bad guy, like the big bad at one point. But I was also sort of, you know, inhabiting his head for a while because I had to write from that viewpoint. And I was like, oh, see, no, Alaric and Julie are the baddies here. Like, they're now on his side. Like,
yeah,
you know, and that's like, that turnabout is so fun for me when I find a viewpoint I don't expect. And I'm like, actually, no, I side with him.
Yeah.
They come on his side. These guys are just assholes. You know?
Well, the thought came back to me. Is like why I think this genre matters. The emotional component of the genre matters for history. Growing up, I hated social studies.
Yeah.
It was a stupid class. It was a fill in the blank from the textbook on these worksheets kind of class, because it was bare bones facts, and I had an agenda because those textbooks were coming from Texas.
Oh,
so
yeah.
But I grew up loving historical fiction. I grew up seeing stories of girls my age in the past dealing with similar-ish issues, like recognizable, but also wholly new and foreign in similar ways. And I loved that. And it wasn't until college courses started teaching history in that same manner that I'm like, oh, I actually love that. I wanted to be a zoologist when I was a kid. It's like, I love animals. Let's work with animals. And then I took an anthropology course, and I'm like, oh, people are fascinating. Let's do that.
Yep. It's like, if we could all just maybe bring a little bit more emotion and excitement and narrative energy to social studies, I feel like people would probably like it a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of teachers who do that, you know, like,
it's so true. There's some excellent teachers out there. It's so true.
And it's so
all of my high school teachers were male varsity coaches. So like, it wasn't them.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured it out eventually.
Yeah. I've heard that there are some teachers, like middle school and high school teachers, who have their students listen to our episodes, and I'm like, I'm not going to ask which ones. Really, it's all of them. But I didn't you to do that, teachers. Yes.
100%.
You know what? To me, that feels smart. Like again, it's like we say, oh, like we're reading some stuff that maybe wasn't age appropriate.
Right.
We're obviously all mature and curious enough to handle it.
Yeah.
Without going crazy. And I think the purity culture thing, I think does a lot more harm to younger audiences than helps. So like,
especially to girls and women.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the age I started reading romance novels, and I'm fine. Theoretically. I mean, that's actually a questionable statement. Like, it gave rise to a career.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just more comfort in your own body, because so much of this world tells you not to be comfortable in your own body. So like,
I would be ashamed of your feelings, you know?
Yes. Yeah.
Or like to think that like women had always behaved in a traditional certain way because that's what the grand narratives of history want to tell you. But it's like, oh no, we've been fighting this shit for a long time.
Like, let me tell you about Honoria. Like she didn't like some women just absolutely rebelled against their marriages. Like that was real. Women were people. They had feelings about this stuff.
Yeah. Women were people.
The shocker.
Tagline.
Yeah. Even like Harriet Tubman was an abolitionist who like led people north. There's like, she was a spy. She did spy shit. Why did no one tell me that growing up?
Awesome.
That's amazing.
That's so badass.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Well, I have another question for you, because I saw this as like, because I was following my book in Storygraph, because it's an alternative to Goodreads apparently, and I don't know why we need an alternative to Goodreads, but here we are. I'm on Storygraph.
Well, Goodreads,
and one of the questions that someone asked is like, why all the alcohol and or drugs? And I'm like, I personally have an answer for it, but I wanted to hear your take on that, Jenny.
Well, because that was the thing that happened.
Amongst other things, yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing that happened, you know, like the weed sauna stuff is like directly from our research in Fangirl. Like, and it was religious and it was cultural. And it was also a coping mechanism. I mean, I think that Julia, the thing about Julia is that she has a lot to cope with, especially when she's younger, you know? And like, I don't agree. Like personally, like I said, the characters that I write are messy, you know? And like, there was a part of me that was, you know, circa 2015 running around Bushwick, drinking at all the bars, like that really identified with that and like wanted to see a heroine who wasn't doing the healthiest thing with her feelings in a way that I could identify with, even though there was like all this space and time between us. So also like a lot of the decisions she makes are very alcohol fueled. So it's like, would I go and, you know, do whatever she does at that banquet sober? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Like arguably you could say it was a good choice for her. At least it was a choice that presented her with more options.
It worked out well, you know, and she wasn't in a good place at that point. So it's like, well, where else do I go? Right. Yeah. Like this is, you know, Alaric and Julia, when they meet and actually do get together, it's like two desperate people clinging to a lifeline in each other, which I think provides a really good engine for a story.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think some of that question that is coming out is because we are seeing like younger people not drinking as much. Either they're like, you know, there's more non-alcoholic options that you can consume in what would have usually been alcoholic settings. You also can't, it's getting expensive to drink certain kinds of alcohol and things like that. But it feels like also a weird kind of another purity or Puritan kind of aspect that is interesting. Because you can look back, it's like, oh, look at the millennials. They're so messy. And I'm like, well, yeah.
Okay.
But also it's like we you know, there have been studies done that suggest that alcohol has functioned as a very important social lubricant for a long part of human history. And especially in the time period that you've said it, where like you've got all these different cultural groups speaking different languages, having different customs. But you know what all of them do at the end of the day? They drink.
Yeah. And it's a way to connect, you know, like that's a way Julia connects with this group of people before she knows them. And it's a way like, you know, not necessarily, I'm not claiming this is healthy, but it's a way she gets her courage up to like do this stuff in a way, you know? And I find that personally very relatable. Like I had an awkward phase. It took me a long time to get out of it. I moved to New York, and to be honest, and again, I'm not claiming this is a good way to do it. I'm not promoting this, but for me, if I had 3 drinks, I could talk to anyone. And like, it really kind of brought me out of this shell and helped me find this more outgoing side of myself that I had kind of lost touch with. Yeah. And that's just me. Like I said, like a lot of people have unhealthy relationships with alcohol. That would not work, but that was my experience. And I think that showed up as a facet of Julia's personality too.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. No, it's like, I would never shame anyone for not like choosing to not drink alcohol, like, and being sober. That's if that's the best decision for you, that's great. I love social drinking. I love sitting on the podcast with a glass of wine and chatting about topics of history and media and all of that, because that is such an enjoyable evening for me in so many ways.
Yeah, it's a huge part of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the other theme, if I use this line and you want me to bleep it out, let me do that. But like, what to me, the romance and love in this story kind of fell into this simple phrase of like, love is ruin. And I thought that was really interesting. So I won't say who said it or anything. I had recently watched this video by Tale Foundry. They do a lot of literary analysis on YouTube that I really like. And they had just released this video about love. And they made an argument that love is cosmic horror in a lot of our storytelling.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Oh, this is such a rich vein to mine. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of figured you'd like that one.
I love it. So I'm a dark romance girly. Like, I'm kind of into that. And the fun thing about dark romance is that there's a real intersection with horror.
Yes.
You know? Mm-hmm. And like horror romance, like that's kind of a thing. And I like that because loving someone is terrifying.
Yeah.
And like being intimate and vulnerable is f***ing terrifying. And like if you characterize your partner as a werewolf, like that kind of brings that point home, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
Or, you know, vampire, like something scary.
They were talking about Nosferatu, the film, as an example of this.
Huge example. I mean, that's another just really rich vein to mine. We actually did another podcast episode about Nosferatu recently.
I believe that.
That's all also on our Patreon. Join our Patreon, Ancient History Fangirl Patreon.
Do it.
We talk about a lot of the shows that we've talked about in this. We also kind of deconstruct on that. But like, anyway, so romance and horror. I think that Julia specifically comes from this Roman tradition where they saw love, like intense, passionate love, as this kind of madness. Like you see people falling in love and then going mad and ripping their family members apart. You know, like this is a thing that happened in the mythology. And like in the media they were consuming, like in the plays, you know, like this, like love was a madness, and like not like a pretty, you know, writing poetry madness. It was like rip you apart madness. And so like Julia is kind of seeing love and romance as this very destabilizing thing that results in a loss of control, and that's really scary to her. And I think that is part of the horror-mance of it all, you know, like that's part of what she has to overcome to really love Alaric, is like accepting and trusting that he might be a scary person in all the ways that her culture teaches that his culture is scary. And some of them are true. Some of them are very well deserved, you know, and some of them are quite understandable if you look at it from their side. But like, nobody's a good guy here in the ancient world. But yeah, like she has to overcome that idea that love is terrifying and like learn to trust. And I also find that quite relatable. I've been single since like, I don't know, forever. So the idea that love is scary is like something that I deeply relate to. And I think that's part of my attraction to dark romance and horror romance personally.
Yeah. And again, like we have historical and archaeological examples of like curse dolls from Greece, the binding spells that are like literally clay dolls of the people with like iron nails and stuff in them, being like, don't allow them to like do anything. Like their tongue can't speak, their stomach can't process food until they fall in love with me. Like it's so violent
and so visceral. Like, God.
It is, yeah.
And it's wild, like from a modern perspective. It's like, if you care about this person, why would you want them to feel that way? But then you're just like from the ancient world, like the feeling is, no, I want them to experience this obsessive madness. Like love is not just like this glowy, happy feeling of this is a person who is nice to me. No, it was this obsessive madness where we devour each other. And like, I like that. I think it's hot.
And that idea still exists, right? Like we do think of love like that, like that cosmic horror sort of situation. Like it's inevitable. You'll fall into it. You'll be obsessed with it. And
inescapable in some ways. Yeah. And well, I mean, that's why dark romance exists now.
Yeah.
That's why so many people really enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's that feeling, like, as the reader's perspective, that feeling of being wanted in that intense way can be like extremely fulfilling, you know, as a reader. And I'm not saying that that is a healthy way to have a relationship. Like, I don't think that what I'm doing is writing a depiction of healthy relationships at all. I have been single a long time. I am not qualified to do that. Like, but it's fun to explore some of these dynamics in a safe way in a book. Yeah. So you don't ruin your life doing it in person.
Yes. Well, and that's, Julia identifies this very strong, all-consuming love in two instances. One with her romantic relationship, but also the relationship between a mother and a child. That also she sees as an example of like the love driving a person to madness. Yeah. Or to someone like who is not recognizable anymore. And so I liked that love wasn't contained within just this romantic relationship. She saw it in other places. Yeah. But the other thing is, like, love is also just a perfectly ordinary thing. Like my other archaeology brained example is just like these beautiful epitaphs that people leave behind for their wife, of like, she was a goddess and she was the most devoted. And maybe that's performative to some extent, because, you know, people were going to see this and you wanted everyone to think you had the best marriage in the world.
Right. Sure.
But I also, it's like, I don't want to discount the emotion that was really there, that like this person really felt this strongly about their partner and felt the need to let for all eternity, for all of millennia, that people know that love existed. And some of it was just like, she was my partner. She, you know, we worked together, we raised a family together. Like, and yeah, like we forget that love is also just these really ordinary moments. And I think it goes back to the found family, because I very much believe she loves a lot of characters in this book. And she doesn't recognize it as such, to some extent. Like even Bromios, who's like her guy friend / former, you know, freed slave. Like, it's interesting because she doesn't necessarily believe that like he has affection or love for her, and yet he's done some crazy shit for her too that I love.
Yeah. Bromios is really fun because he's kind of like a callback to what she was. Like they both think in the same sort of very strategic and transactional way.
Yeah.
But from Bromios' perspective, like they both kind of find themselves in this situation of being kidnapped by barbarians, shall we say. They both do. And like
they both relish in it, right?
Yeah, they both find like a relationship out of that, you know, that they were not expecting to find. And I think that Bromios, they separate, and then Bromios meets up with her later after she and Alaric have kind of gotten together. Like there's some questionable communication going on. And then, you know, like, you know, but she's not quite secure in her relationship with him yet. And Bromios is just looking at her going, girl, you are not doing this right. Like I have got to protect you. You are going to mess this up. Like I'm the one who knows how to, like, you know, seduce the barbarians. You do not. This is my element. I thought perhaps this might be also your element. It turns out you are a mess. Like, I just feel a little bit obligated to help you is kind of how he feels. Yeah, partially it's, you know, self-interest.
Yeah, no, he seemed very adaptable and was like,
100%.
Oh, we're doing this now.
Yeah,
I'm off.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye. I'll check in with you later. See how you're doing. Oh, honey. Like, you're more capable than
this.
She's
like, you're just gonna leave?
Like, yeah. Well, yeah.
It's like, I met a hot guy. I've got to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you seen his abs? Like,
have you seen him wearing those tight leather pants? Like, everyone's looking at them. Like that is like, for if you wrote this romance novel from Bromios' perspective, like the marquee event is like a tall ass in the leather pants.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well, I have kind of a final take comment on my side of things that I'm also like not 100% sure will make final cut. Okay. I just wanted to bring it up, but I also want to give Laj a chance to ask any of her big questions or themes or anything like that.
I feel like we've hit on quite a lot of them. Let me mull around in my list for a hot second. I love your use of like classic romance tropes. I feel like even though this is a historical fiction, even though there is like a romance in it, all of the like my favorite tropes also show up in the best way.
I'm so glad.
I love the like characters, meet each other before they kind of know who each other are. One of my favorites. Just like the fact that they can get under each other's skin in all of the tiny little ways. I don't know if that's a trope, but it makes me so happy. Do you have a favorite romance trope that you did not get into this book that you are hoping to bring into a next book?
Oh gosh, I have to think about that because I feel like I don't really write trope forward, like I kind of go back afterwards and I was like, oh, that's what I was doing. Like it just kind of like feeling my way forward and like feeling my way into these shapes of like what I want the story to be. Things that didn't wind up in the book. I'm trying to think. I got so many things in this book that I wanted. I think I would like want to write a poly romance sometime.
Okay, yeah.
This is obviously not a poly romance. And I love writing monogamous romances. I love writing hetero romance. Like that is, I think, probably a good place to start because it feels like very familiar ground, but I have ideas for other things. And I'm trying to think, I don't know. I don't think so. I'll write a few books and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
There you go. I'll be like, oh yeah, that one I got into this book and I realized I didn't put it into that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I like the idea of not like going forward with the tropes in mind of just of actually, coming to the characters first and being like how they interact. But I still was just like, oh my gosh, everything is happening and I love it so much. I think I told Christy when I was reading, I was like, I love this so much. Guess what just happened?
I'm so happy.
Flipping through and so I was extremely delighted with all of that. So I hope you get all of your tropes and dreams in future
all my
books.
Tropes and dreams. Yeah, yes. That's actually awesome.
Well, and I think this was a question that I had written down, but I hadn't really asked. Is like, do you ever feel limited at all with romantic tropes? It doesn't sound like it since that wasn't your starting point, but do you ever feel like the genre itself could limit you in the way you explore the characters?
Not at the moment. I'll let you know when I'm 10 books in.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Cool. I feel like the genre,
root for that.
Yeah, the genre has expanded so much. Like there's so much more possibilities in queer and poly romance, for example. Like when I was growing up, like all of those historical romances that I read were, monogamous straight romances.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited by the possibilities of writing a gay romance. Like I want to write a sapphic romance sometime. I have an idea for a poly romance with 2 men and a woman, like I'm excited about all of that. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the story changes and how it doesn't change. When I do things like that.
Yeah.
Yay. I'm excited too, because I will get to read it.
Yes, you will.
Yeah. And I was, so like, this isn't my final take, but one thing I really appreciated, and again, I feel like it really resonated from some of the Spartacus characters too, was that like Julia meets women in this story and she doesn't turn into frenemies with them, really. Like she recognizes that all the women she's meeting are also surviving in their own ways, and like their survival isn't necessarily at the expense of her survival. And I'm like, I love that. I'm so tired of, I love Lucretia and Alethea and their manipulation, but it also just doesn't feel like a real female relationship to me anymore. It's like, I don't know female relationships that are just that cutthroat to each other. I'm sure they exist. I know they exist. I've just never come across it in my own life. And I hate seeing it always being represented in media that way. So that was something else I really liked. I really liked Briska. So
you mean you've never cut a baby out of your friend's belly? Like that's...
And then walked off a cliff with it?
No. Walked off a cliff with it?
That's still here.
Not a relatable experience in terms of female friendships.
Not really. Nor
it didn't occur to me until just now.
Changed up the random men I painted gold and put a mask on and threw into the atrium to like have fun.
All right, that's in my spank bank. Like, that's one of my favorite scenes.
Yes.
I love it so much because I'm just like, I want Lucy Lawless to stand outside my apartment. Every guy I bring home, she's like, right, this is how you have to anticipate her needs and give her what she wants before she knows that she wants it. Like, I need Lucy Lawless to deliver instruction for every hookup.
Yes.
The stupid thing is, though, she puts them both in masks. It's like, how are you doing foreplay in a full face mask?
That
like,
is also true. Like, you can't use your tongue.
Like, come on.
Right. Yeah. You need to do a half face mask. That's what you need to do.
It needs to be like here. Yeah.
Right. It needs to go here.
They needed someone to be there and be like, y'all, this isn't going to be good sex when you have them full face mask. Okay. It's just
an extremely good point. Like, good point. You have to use your mouth.
You do.
It's just required. Really yeah. No, it's absolutely true because I am not anti-mask in sex. Like, we can wear masks. Just,
sure.
Yeah.
Or just like, lift it up a little bit.
Right.
For sometimes. Like, there needs to be some flexibility. It would have come up
a lot sooner than it did in that scene.
Correct.
Like, sure,
if they were having really good sex, right?
Which that scene would suggest is what was happening, but like,
yeah. I mean, look, I'm not against painting ourselves gold. Like, I will do that.
Sure. Like, why not?
Isn't that like a couples activity now, where you get like body paint and then you get a giant canvas and you lay it on the floor?
Oh,
that sounds awesome.
I've seen this TikTok, right?
And you just go to town.
Yeah.
And then you hang it up on the wall.
Yeah. You hang it up on the wall.
Beautiful. I love it.
If it was good. If the painting was good or the sex was good, I don't know.
I immediately thought if the sex was good. Like, that's where my mind went. Right. You don't want to immortalize
if the sex was good, the painting should be good, right?
Yes. You would think in romance novels that's how it works, but I think that's a little bit idealistic. Yeah. Not always how it is in real life.
And then, okay, so my final take, and again, this might end up being cut out, but this goes back to like my really early on comment of what I liked about Julia and her awareness of the problem within the relationship is that her definition of safe, like feeling safe, and Alaric's definition of safe are very different.
Yeah.
And this felt so relatable in a modern context of like, I think one of my favorite scenes, and I know this will be cut out. I worded it in a certain way. There is a moment where Julia needs to be saved, and Alaric shows up and he does King of the Goth things to save her, and her reaction to witnessing that is throwing up. And I'm like, thank you. That is in fact probably what would happen.
Yeah,
in that situation. And I think there's this idea of masculinity now in these gym bro types that like a woman wants to feel safe. So we've got to bulk up and be violent and be able to protect her from the harms of the world. And it's not a recognition that she wants to feel safe with you. And seeing guys beat up other people or act aggressively towards others to protect her does not make you feel safe.
Yeah.
Because that can turn on you on any moment. Versus what I loved about her relationship with her found family is that they see her, they see where she might be lacking in skills or support, and they give those things to her. They give her the tools to face the world.
Yeah.
Not be shielded from it.
I think that's like,
and
sorry,
I love that.
I think that that's kind of a huge conversation that I'm having with the time period through Julia and Alaric, like what it takes to feel safe in this time and what it takes to feel safe in this time as a woman, because Alaric's feelings about keeping Julia safe, like as he starts to care for her, he's seen so many people he's cared about die or have horrible things happen to him because they're around him and all the violence that he attracts and like what he's doing, but like, and that's kind of true of the world in general. Like the Goths were a people without a kingdom, like, which means without safety, like they did not have walled cities. They did not have any protection. So they follow, like the whole people follow their king into battle. Like that's what they do. Cause that's potentially where the safety is, as crazy as that sounds. Right. So like the question of what it takes to feel safe as a woman and what Alaric thinks it takes to be safe as a woman, which requires him being around her all the time, protecting her from things. And she's like, no, I need to learn to fight for myself. And he's like, yeah, well, if you fight for yourself and you come up against the wrong person, then you're in the grave, Like, and that's valid. Like both feelings are valid.
Yeah.
And so like that conversation with like Julia's desire for agency and Alaric's desire to keep her safe in the only way he knows how to keep someone safe is like a conflict between them, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I think in my personal experience is like where I see that kind of attitude is parents towards children.
Yeah.
That protectiveness of like wanting to prevent them from, you know, experiencing physical pain, but also like some of the scary things that happen in the world. And I get that. But I also, it's like, I mean, scrapes happen, bruises happen.
Yeah.
Maybe a broken bone happens. And we hope it doesn't come to that. But I also was like, I want this kid to know how to climb.
Right.
And get back down after they climb up something. And so it's like, I'm here. I am here if you need me, but I know you can do this. And here, you know, make sure you place your foot here. Grab the handhold here. But I don't have to carry you up it myself for you to go down a twisty slide. Like,
right. Yeah. That's the thing.
And I think that's what I was seeing in that is just that protectiveness comes from a very loving place. And I understand that. But also it's just like to be on the other side of it, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like you become more scared as a result. And Julia doesn't want that. And I don't want that for her.
Right. No, Julia wants to like be a bandit queen and like ride a horse and like lead a people, you know, and she wants to be what Alaric is kind of, you know? And I think that like in book 2, like I can't talk too much about book 2, but like that's kind of a point of contention between them as she goes on, you know, because like he promises to give her freedom. And like, that's kind of like the terms of engagement, you know, and then like what that promise costs him and what it costs her to like go against him, you know, and like the pain that she causes this person, but also she has to have agency in this world. Like, how is she going to live otherwise? Like, those are all kind of things that I found myself contending with because that's what the characters were dealing with, you know, like it started to become like outside of me at this point.
Yeah. It felt like the most real and most modern aspect of it in a lot of ways to me. And it's like my summary is like, she doesn't want a shield blocking her view. She wants an army at her back. So give her an army.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yay.
All right. Well, Laj, any other final thoughts from you?
I want to poke around so much at book 2, but have you said all that you can possibly say about book 2?
You can ask me questions and I can see if I can answer them.
So I mean, it's still following Alaric and Julia's storyline. Do we get some of our favorite side characters also coming back around?
Yes, we do. There are some side characters. Basically all the side characters and some new ones. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
That's a yes.
Awesome. Yay. Can you talk about like how far in time we kind of go with them or?
Yeah. So, the next book, it's kind of like there's a time jump of a few months where Alaric and Julia have been together for a little while, but not so long because it's kind of like the book 1 ends in the fall and then book 2 starts in the spring where they're starting to cross the Alps and then go over and attack Rome.
Cool. Sweet.
Yeah. So it's gonna end at the siege of Rome.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. I'm excited because I handed in my first draft of it to my editor and I'm waiting for comments back and I'm like, how much of a trash fire is she going to think this first draft is? Like, I think I took a few big swings. We'll see how that goes. So
exciting. I love a big swing.
Yeah.
We have been liking the big swings. Like, I think Elijah's comment on that was like from the show Chaos and the like reinterpretation of Orpheus and Eurydice's relationship. So good. And a different take that still fits.
Yeah.
In the motif of the story.
Yeah. I love a big swing and I feel like if it comes from Jenny, I'm like gonna be on board.
Oh good. That's good to hear. Like you have to structure it. You have to like put your scaffolding down, you know, for the big swing. So
100%.
It'll take a few drafts. Like I don't know that I put all that in. I think it was just like, well, this is what I'm trying for.
Right.
We'll see. You know what? It's a work in progress, but I think it's going to be great. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm really excited to do the work,
Awesome. Yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have one final question too for you. Which character did you fall in love with the most?
Oh my God, that's so hard to say. Like, I love them so much. I love all of them so much. Like, I feel like they're all little bits of me in various ways, but also very much their own selves. Like, how can I pick? They would, all the rest of them would be mad.
That's fair. That's fair. I understand that.
They're all clamoring in my head now, going like, well, obviously I'm the favorite.
Obviously.
Yeah. I still have to work with these people.
I know. It's like we can't upset them now.
No, not now.
And Alaric sitting there is like, I'll fight them all.
Yeah. He's like, oh my God. So Alaric is like not a very emotive texter. I figured this out. Like he's just gonna give me one word answers.
I can see that.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Like the yes with the punctuation, yes, period.
Period. Yeah, no, he's a big period person.
Yeah.
And you're like, is this asshole mad at me? Like
I'm now trying to picture Thorismund, and I feel like there would be bad attempts at GIFs and memes and stuff.
He'd be bad at it. That's Thorismund is like
very bad at it in general.
Very much too old to do that. Like he shouldn't do it. You should take his phone away. But the thing about Thorismund is he's quite emotive, and he's just trying to figure out how to express himself.
That's why I'm thinking like he'd be using weird GIFs and memes that no one understands.
Right? He's
like, what do you mean by that?
My feelings. Like I want to tell you that I love you, but not in words.
And the twins would be like, you guys are being too aggressive with your punctuation marks in these text chains.
They'd be like, I think we need to.
Oh God, Alaric's okay. We're dead.
No, they'd be like, he texted me okay. Does that mean he's gonna like?
Yeah.
Does that mean he's really mad? Like,
yeah.
Am I in
I feel
trouble?
like the twins are gonna send just like voice notes. They're just like, hey, what are you doing? What do you think about this?
Okay, so I think Hengist sends very long and poetic texts that are like a paragraph.
Beautiful.
And I think Horsa sends you voice notes because he doesn't have time.
No, no time.
And he also feels like he likes the idea that the voice note goes away and he won't get in trouble with Alaric later for whatever he just said about Alaric.
Feel that.
Yeah.
Yep. I can see that. I could definitely see that. And what's Riga doing then? Because we have to finish this. We need Riga and Julia.
Okay,
I feel like Riga doesn't have a smartphone.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
He doesn't have a smartphone. He has horses.
Yeah. I think he's just literally off the grid. He's like,
yeah,
how my sister finds me. I don't know.
He's in his weed sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's unfindable.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you want a message from Riga, he's going to send it to you tied to an axe hilt that he threw at your head.
Yep.
Like, that's how he communicates. That is his love language. And like, I feel like Julia is the very literate one.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
She says what she means.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always telling Alaric things like, babe, you need to have more fun with your life. And he texts back, okay. Period.
Yeah.
Got it.
So good.
Yeah. She likes a good emoji. She likes the wine glass emoji.
That's what I was thinking. I see her being an emoji
wine
girl.
glass emoji.
She likes an emoji.
Like dancing girl emoji.
Yeah. Dancing girl
Especially
emoji.
if she's talking to her best friend.
Yeah, Verena. Nail painting emoji.
Yes.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like they have a secret language. They've known each other forever.
Yeah.
Love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She tries to do it with Alaric because she's like, we feel each other. We're close. And Alaric refuses to participate. It pisses
She's
her
in
off.
a chat group with Verena and Bromios, and it is the most inside jokes things imaginable.
Oh my God. I love it so much. They make fun of Alaric so bad.
Yes.
Much.
Yes. Alaric and at Atolf. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's teasing Atolf. I'm not going to tell you about what happens with Verena later, but I think you're going to enjoy it.
Okay, good. I'm glad she comes back. I wasn't sure.
She does. She comes back.
Good.
Yay.
All right. Well, with that, I think we have to say thank you because we don't want to take up too much more of your time, although we've had such a great time chatting about this book with you. And thank you so much for sending it our way so we could binge read it in so much happiness
in 24 hours.
I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. That just makes me so happy.
And I will say, Colin was also very interested in reading it, and the timing just never worked out. And he's like, "I'm gonna be gone." I'm like, "We need this episode as soon as possible." Elijah and I cannot sit on it. He probably will.
I think he will. He definitely will.
Yeah, he read Lore Olympus with us, so like,
oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, I want to hear his take on things because, like,
me too.
I just want to know.
Me too, because I think of romance as such a female-driven, you know, like woman-focused genre. So, like, whenever there's a guy who reads romance, I'm like, oh, tell me what your take is, like, because I'm sure you encounter this differently than I do, you know.
For sure.
Okay, I know we're still going when I said like, and we're wrapping up, but
I know.
I was gonna say there's a scene that I think was written, and I've been watching this lesbian woman who like gives example of the sapphic gaze and things like that, or like I think Liv also did an episode recently on Medusa, and there was a guy who asked us like, what is the female gaze? And I'm like, that is a good question. And
romance.
Well, and like in regards to Medusa, I think it's shame, actually, like a mother looking at you because you did something wrong. Like that's the vibes I get for Medusa's female gaze.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Okay, yes.
But yeah, so like the female sapphic gaze is like definitely different, but it's harder to articulate in some ways. But the scene where, again, we could possibly cut this, but like the first attempt at seduction, and there's some slipping that happens, and like Julia's very aware of like, oh man, I don't know if I'm pulling this off, and Alaric is just like, I would assume the male gaze is like, she hot, she's wet and she's hot, and like, but Alaric clocks it, he clocks the trip. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's the female gaze coming out a little bit, that like he sees it and he still finds it hot and adorable at the same time. I don't know if that's the case. I need more men to read these books and tell me, would you notice the dripping wet women trying to seduce you trips? Would you notice?
Been with guys who would notice. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think people would notice.
I think they would. I just don't think male writers would have written that. Is what I'm thinking in terms of the male gaze aspect of it, like what gets focused on. But I think most people would clock it and be like, okay, that was kind of adorable.
Right. And I think that that's part of what makes that scene sexy to me, is it's not just about lust. And like, it is about lust because he like struggles with his lust later. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so attracted to her. It took everything I had not to blah, blah, blah. You know, like that's also hot. Like I enjoy a hero restraining himself, like the restraint.
Oh yeah.
The restraint is hot. The adorableness of it, like that little note of that also.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah.
I like that.
I loved it.
So,
yeah. I loved it. And it's like, yes.
Where you like, you know, you're like, all the blood is rushing to your dick, but you still have enough in you to notice like, oh, she's really f***ing this up.
But I love the attempt.
Let's be clear, I'm still very down, but she's f***ing this up so bad. Like, that's funny.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. And it makes it relatable because, again, have you seen most normal people try to seduce another person? It looks awkward from the outside.
I know, like I have f***ed it up before.
Oh yeah,
f***ed it up so bad.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that person was still down, but like,
yeah,
I was aware in the moment of how bad I had f***ed up. And it's like, I find that relatable, but also like, it wasn't necessarily something I'd planned. It was just like, obviously this is what happens because this is how this person is.
Yeah. Or this is what happens when you're in, what was it, like a little like muddy stream?
Yeah, it's like it's a river.
Like, little, yeah, like this is what you're not getting out of this.
No, she's not like, you know, it's like when you go camping and like the idyllic river is actually super muddy and there might be eels in there, or like some kind of weird fish, and like Julia's not outdoorsy at all. Like
no. So, she adapts, but she's not outdoorsy to begin with.
Like she has this picture in her head of how it's going to go, and that is not how it goes.
Yes,
so
that
relatable.
Picture we all imagine. Right. We're Cleopatra, and we're about to like rock this. Nope.
Yeah, like rising from the sea, like Aphrodite.
And we're like,
not quite.
Cleopatra rolls herself out of a rug, and she makes it look as sexy as. And you're like, what
I actually did. So there is, the first tent scene where Julia shows up in Alaric's tent and she's a little bit trashed because she had to like get her courage up. So I read a version of that for a really long time. It was a Cleopatra story where she shows up rolled up in a bear skin.
Oh, yes. I kind of love that.
I know. I couldn't keep it because the circumstances around how she gets into this tent really changed, and I couldn't make it work the way that it worked with the bear skin. But it was like so great because like I think it's Bromios who carries her in, and she like dumps her on the floor, and she's like, ugh. Like rises unsteadily and very tipsily from this bear skin, and she's like adjusting herself. And it's like, well, here I am.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So good.
It's very
It worked for Cleopatra, it'll work for me,
right.
Damn it.
Like I have an idea of how this is gonna go, and I'm gonna insist that it goes that way.
Yeah.
Which I've done as well. Like
very relatable.
Yeah, if you're a perfectionist, you find yourself in this a lot situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're like an hour, 40 minutes in. So I am going to like help cut us off.
Gave you guys a lot of material.
You did so much. We appreciate it.
Good.
Yeah. So again, special thanks to Jenny for joining us to talk about her excellent book. If you have not read it yet, go out and get a copy today. We're going to include a link in the show notes that will take you to all of the options, both high corporate and not. Support your independent bookstores and all that jazz. Jenny, what else should people be on the lookout from you and your podcast, Ancient History Fangirl?
Well, like you said, I have a podcast. It's called Ancient History Fangirl. It's all about ancient history. We're running a series right now on the history of the Visigoths, Alaric's people. That is a vast, sweeping history. Alaric is certainly part of that, but only a small part. And it's really fascinating and very absorbing. And a lot of the lessons we can learn from the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths and other Goths that existed are weirdly applicable to today.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kind of fell in love with that history. We have episodes going back to 2018 on all kinds of stuff. So it is quite vast and far reaching at this point. Yeah, what else? I'm working on a book too. Stay tuned. You can find me, I would say I'm most active on Jenny freaking Williamson on Instagram. I'm on Threads and Blue Sky, a little bit less active there. I think that's basically, and you can find Ancient History Fangirl on all the platforms if you want to find me that way. And I have a book called Women of Myth about women in world mythology. And my podcast partner, Jen McMenemy, was the writer of the head notes writer. She didn't write the recipes, but she wrote like the, like history and mythology of various things for the Lore Olympus cookbook, which I believe is coming out in July, I think.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's all the things.
That's quite the scope of things.
So many things.
It's a lot of things.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. And then finally, special thanks to all you listeners. We could not produce episodes like this without your support. That being said, please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you like what you hear. You can find all our episodes at movieswedig.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want to know more about our upcoming plans and episode releases, be sure to follow us on social media, where you can find us under the handle of @movieswedig on most platforms. And with that, we say go read a book. We finally did.
Yay.
And we say bye.
Bye. Thanks for having me.
This show is produced and edited by your hosts, Colin McCormick and Christy Vogler. Movies We Dig is part of the Memory Collective, a group of creators and educators dedicated to sharing knowledge that is accessible, contextualized, socially conscious, and inclusive. To find more from the Memory Collective, visit collectivemem.com.